Hello, I'm the Python librarian, and today we're going to go over a library that I wrote that turns a number into a random name, usually a random multi-word name. I did this because I wanted to create some Python package names, and I wanted to create them at random, and I also wanted to make it so I did a check to see if this problem has already been solved before. The closest I could find was get name, which turns a word like 10 occupied nuts will turn into EFA 8531. And there's a way to turn that back into 10 occupied nuts. So this is almost the same problem, but not quite the same because I need integers. And not just any integers, I need large integers. The more clever of you out there might think, "Oh, this is easy. Creating random names is trivial. You take three lists of words, and you do a random choice from each, and voila, you got a three-part name." And you could imagine that if you had 10 in the first, 10 in the second, 10 in the third, that you would get 10 times 10 times 10 possible names. Problem is that I want to have two or at most three words, and I want to cover integers from 1 to like a few billions or trillions or quadrillions. There is another system which is really old. It's called mnemonic major system, and it's a way of turning numbers into phrases if you're trying to memorize really long strings of numbers. This is one of the techniques that people use for memorizing pi. So mnemonic major system will give you a system where each number turns into a letter, and then that builds up into words. So for example, a 0 might be hose, and 2 might be new, and 11 would be tattoo, and 33 would be mummy, and so on. And this system of turning numbers into pronounceable words is a very old system. It predates computers, although there are systems that will take words and convert them into numbers, and take the numbers and convert them into a different possible names, because the problem this is trying to solve is how to memorize a really large number. It doesn't have the nice reversibility, perfect reversibility that I was looking for. And there are a whole bunch of mnemonic major system tools and websites, but that's something of a distraction. What I needed was a way to convert a number to a name. It provided a prefix, and it would then generate it, and then this doesn't show the example of what it turns it into, but it would then turn it back into the number. So the good example is in my application, which requires a user to keep track of a Stack Overflow question number, which can be, this one is let's see here, that's 48,340,000. So at minimum, we'd need a naming system that would allow me to generate 50 million plus. So a hypothetical example is what if this could be converted into tree dance? That would be a little bit easier to work with than asking somebody to work with 48,342,342. Now, like I said before, there's one obvious solution, which is to just pick random numbers from a short list, another random number from a short list, another number from a short list, and so on. The problem with that system is that you get really long names. So in order to keep the list of names, the length of the names short, the first list has to be a really long list, and the second list has to be a really long list. And then, so if you had like 100,000 words in the first list, 100,000 words in the first list, that would let you create a lot of integer names with at most 2 parts. So anyhow, I mapped 10,000 words to four digits twice. That yields a 2-word system covering 100 million records. 100 million numbers. So that should be plenty for my purposes. All right. So this was the unexpected problem I ran into. If you just pick any random dictionary and then pick out 2 random words, you will get funny, obscene, and offensive phrases. In this scenario, to avoid creating an offensive phrase, not only do you need to remove all of the cuss words, but you also need to remove culturally sensitive things. So if you think kill is a neutral word and kitten is a neutral word, then you could randomly generate kill kittens as a phrase. So if you wanted to guarantee that you doesn't say kill kittens, you need to remove both words, including kittens. So in my case, I think this actually happened. It was it randomly generated something that mentioned Jewish hat. So if on its own, gay or Jewish isn't necessarily a derogatory, but if you randomly pair that with 100,000 other adjectives, the possibility that it's offensive approaches 100% chance. This also showed up on one of the cuss word lists or bad word lists that real companies use. I can't remember whose it was, but they also did the same thing and put the names of culturally sensitive groups on that list, and that made people upset because they said, well, the name of my group is not offensive. But if you take the name of that group and you're randomly associating it with other things, then you may end up with an offensive phrase. Let's see here. There's some more related packages are Mnemonic. This is a system for turning passphrases into something that's easy to remember. So similar, but not exactly the same. I've already talked about Major Mnemonic. Num2Words is Num2Words and Words to Num. This is something that's similar, but not quite the same. So in my case, the problem was I don't want the user to deal with large numbers of digits in a row. For some people, when they say we want words instead of numbers, what they mean is they want 22 to be spelled out. Obviously, this wouldn't help in my scenario of trying to turn a really large integer into something that's alphabetic and easy to work with, because merely being alphabetic isn't enough. It also needs to be somewhat short. Oh, random names. If you're trying to generate random names, there are so many trash libraries in PyPy that will generate random fake names, but they're one-way generators. They will take a random seed and it will turn it into a randomly selected name. You will not have an easy way of going backwards from the name to the random seed, or that might not even be part of it. It might just be a way to generate random funny names. And that is an exceedingly common idea for that particular problem. So this had two parts to it. One part was making the name. And so I read in a reasonably clean 10,000 word file, check to see if it looks good. And then we do a little bit of math to split the number into parts. And those the first so many digits is the representing 10,000. I use that to go pick the 10,000th the 0 to 10,000th row in a 10,000 list of words. And then for the next chunk of digits up to 10,000, I then pick the location of that from a list, and then the code to do that in reverse. The other part of this is coming up with a really long list of words and finding an open source list of words, and then an open source list of cuss words. So a lot of the cuss words are things that, all of that. Avert your eyes, children, because those are all bad words. Okay, and then once the words are cleaned up, and I think I also removed single letter words. Looks like I left in double letter words. Some of those double letter words look kind of suspicious. I'm not sure that ACC is a real word, but it's there. Accordingly, account. These are pretty boring looking words. I'm convinced that there's some pair of words that on this list here that it would be an offensive pair of words. But at the moment, in the various checks I can make, it looks fine. I would say that one direction I can take this in the future is to use semantic analysis and to attempt to score the words to see if the random phrases that I generate are semantically neutral. The scoring something as semantically positive or negative, or sentiment analysis, is a pretty easy thing to do. Anyhow, so that's my library, and I'll talk to you later about the next library.